So a lot of people have been calling this the new Black Panther of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Is that true? Well, let's dive into Shang-Chi and find out. Is Isaiah. I love to talk about movies way too much, and in that regard I started a channel to annoy you guys about movies and media and video games and whatever stuff we're talking about, because I can't even seem to make up my mind because I just love media so much. So if you guys like that, then make sure to hit me one of these down below. So let's get into it. So Shang-Chi is the character from the comic books that was never really that well known. And so basing a plot off them that is very coherent and flows well is very difficult. But the plot basically is Shang-Chi has been away from his father, the Mandarin, for a very long time. Things happen and then he is forced to relive his past and move on to the future while at the same time saving the world once again, because that's what they always do in these superhero movies. Let me just say this right now. All this movie could really do, for me personally, is do nothing but surprise me. Because I was not impressed by any of the trailers, I was not impressed by any of the marketing material, and I thought his costume looked stupid. Well, this movie did surprise me in a lot of ways, but it also didn't in a lot of ways too. So, where do I begin with this one, y'all? Okay, look, I was trying to sound super professional for this, but ooh, I have a lot of moments that I want to talk about that bother me, but I'm going to have to save that for a spoiler review. So I'll talk about a lot of the good and the bad in the non-spoiler review, and then when I come out with my spoiler review, then you guys will see why I talk about some of the issues that I'm going to talk about. Now let's move on to the good. The action in this movie is superb for the most part. The third act is a bit iffy for me personally, and you guys will see what I'm talking about when you go into it. Or maybe you guys might enjoy it. I don't know. If you guys are Marvel fanboys, that is. The action earlier on, for me, felt a lot like Jackie Chan. It felt like, you know, a little bit more comedic, but also at the same time, he had a lot of style to him. Jackie Chan was very stylistic with his fighting. Like, he would do things and then kind of like sit down and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, that's the thing that Shang-Chi was doing. And when he was doing that stuff, I thought it looked fantastic. The way they also manipulate the rings and stuff like that, which is based on the plot, or the plot is based around. They definitely did a really good job at doing that too. The rings were very awesome. They took like Captain America's shield and took it to the next level and just gave him magical abilities and able to fling it around and spin them around in just really weird and bizarre ways. And the way they did it in this movie, I find really good. And especially if you're into like those martial art films like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Jet Li's The One. It's very trippy, but it's very good action. The character of Shang-Chi is very relatable, and I find him to be a very compelling character. They have a very good character arc with him, and I can't wait to see him incorporated into the MCU for going forward. And especially since there are 2 post-credit scenes that have to do with him, I cannot wait to see what they're going to do and what direction they're going to go in with this character, especially considering I really liked him. The Mandarin, for me personally, stole the show. He is the best character in this whole movie. Even though he's a villain, he is the best character. Like, he did not once lose his cool. This dude, look, this dude was smooth with it. Like, he would walk in a room and be like, okay, this person's dead, this person's dead, this person's dead. Alright, I'm not even gonna scream or yell or anything, you know, you guys are just done. And this dude, whenever he was on screen, he was always demanding his presence. And I think he made his presence known. He was very, very good. Not that intimidating, mind you, but he was very good. And his story is very compelling for the character of Shang-Chi. The plot goes well with his character. And that's about it when it comes to my things that I personally like for this movie. Visually, this movie's fantastic, and some things with the characters are very well. But let's hop into a lot of the bad, because I have quite a bit of things to say. Guys, look, I am not a Marvel fanboy like a lot of people. I love the Marvel movies. I love what they've done with a lot of them, don't get me wrong. And it's incredible to see what they've done. I'm not going to deny them that. But there's a point where Marvel is going to become way too formulaic. And that's something I've been fearing for the most, like, for a long time. This movie is living proof of that, because the first and second act of this movie are so unique and so different that I was loving it. But once it gets out of its second act and into its third act, it really follows the Marvel formula that we're all expecting. Like, when they introduce newer concepts and newer creatures and stuff like that, to have a certain thing that happens, a big CGI battle and a big collide between armies and stuff like that. We've seen this multiple times in Marvel movies. And I'm not saying, like, every movie can't do it. Like, here's the thing, look. Every movie is the same movie. But if it's told well, you can love it. This, they didn't really tell it well enough to be able to sell that third act the way they did the third act. And it was a big letdown for me. Like, for a movie that hyped up this confrontation between father and son, that was well built up and well handled, the payoff is such a disappointment. It does all the Marvel tropes that you would expect. And even through the half of the second act, I saw the way the story was moving, and it was moving a certain route that I knew the way it was going to go. And it's just becoming too formulaic for my liking, and it's becoming too, what would the word be? Predictable. I don't really enjoy that. I'm not saying you can't predict anything in films. I mean, some things you can't predict and still have a good time. But it's like verbatim everything that I've seen before, and it's getting kind of boring now. I'm not even gonna lie with you guys. That and Shang-Chi's sister, they try hard to have her outshine her brother. I'm not gonna spoil anything, and I'm not saying that women can't be empowered or anything. But when you're degrading the men to get a woman's statement out, that is not the way to gain your audience. And the way they handled Shang-Chi's sister in this movie, where essentially they were saying that she's basically better than the main title character throughout the entire movie, that really degrades the character, and it really makes her a Mary Sue character. There's a Mary Sue moment in this movie. You guys will see it once it happens, but it is there. And that did not work for me personally. Also, the other character, the female character, his best friend, which at this point they might as well just be in a relationship, because I mean they were so well together. But I didn't need her in this movie. She was really annoying. It's almost like she was trying to put on a black lady voice. Oh man, I'm sorry. Like, she was putting on this voice, this Asian lady putting on this voice, and it came across as annoying. Every time she was demanding her presence on screen, I was just like, get off the screen, you're annoying me. A lot of the plot details that happen in the second and third act are really, really just everything that you expect. And it really pulls this movie apart. And I was enjoying it. I was really enjoying this movie. But the things that happened in there just did not work for me. There was also a cameo in there that's in the trailer. You guys will know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say anything now, but that was a big disappointment. Especially since I'm a Hulk and an Abomination fan. The treatment that they've been giving those characters recently in the Marvel movies, they're used as nothing but a joke. And speaking of jokes, a lot of the jokes did not work for me in here. Like, there's only 3 times out loud went, and that's about it. And this movie is fun, but it's not fun enough for me to get a full scale out of this. Like, I had to take some time to think about this in order to give a proper review. And I came out of there thinking that it was about a great or good solid film, but my ranking for Shang-Chi is going to be a decent film. I think it's seriously overhyped. I don't think it's as great as what people are saying, but I don't think it's bad. There are bad elements in there, but it also has a lot more enjoyment in there. But at the same time, I wouldn't be running back to see it again, and I most definitely would not be running out to buy it on Blu-ray. I'd probably buy it on basic DVD, and that's about it. But that's just my personal opinion on Shang-Chi. What would your guys' thoughts be on Shang-Chi? Let me know down below. Let me know if I'm wrong, because you guys are always trying to prove me wrong anyways. So in that case, you guys can subscribe as well to prove me wrong, and I think I did that wrong. I have failed you guys. In all level of seriousness, subscribe today to join the Isaiahization.